Hello and welcome back to the channel and my prediction. I'm sorry. I already spoiled. Okay, don't pause at the start and just let me go one by one, okay? Welcome to my prediction for the UFC 315 show. I have a lot of fights on that card that I'm really interested in. So it probably is the best card of the last couple of months, because the last couple of months, I'm sorry, they've been tough on MMA fans because, yeah, not great the stacks on the latest UFC fight nights, huh? All right, UFC 314. We'll hop straight into it because there's a couple of fights I want to talk about in particular. So we start off with the early prelims. We have the women's bantamweights. We have Nora Cornol versus Haley Cohen. All right. About this one, they're two very, very different fighters in their UFC careers, even though they're both coming off a loss. Cornol lost a split decision to Cavalcante. She lost twice to Cavalcante, actually, her first professional fight and her last fight. And Cavalcante herself was on a huge winning streak. I don't think she has lost her momentum, but Haley Cohen has. Cohen also had some bad injuries, which held her back a lot. And yeah, maybe she was injured during her prime. We don't know. Maybe she's coming into her prime right now, but I think now is Nora's time, and I think she's gonna take it by TKO. We move on to the middleweights. We have Trishan Gore versus Marco Tulio. I have to say, whenever I see Trishan Gore, I think of Anthony Rumble Johnson. He looks like a mini version of him, even though hasn't had as many fights at middleweight as Johnson had at welterweight. But still, he looks smaller. And he does not have the same power. He has some power. I liked him on The Ultimate Fighter. And then, yeah, life, I guess, happened to him. And he got, derailed, fraud checked, whatever you want to call it, twice. First, the decision to Brian Battle wasn't too good, but then getting knocked out by Cody Brundage. Yep. Ain't looking too good, buddy. Marco Tulio, on the other hand, yeah, he's on a huge streak. And he will give Trishan Gore a lot of problems with his striking technique, because Trishan Gore is a power puncher, even though, as I said before, he does not have the same power as Rumble, but still he's powerful. But he's not, like, he doesn't have his guard up at all times. He sometimes leaves his chin exposed, some stuff like that. And I think Tulio is technically better in that regard. And I think that will give Trishan Gore the most problems in this fight, and at some point I think Marco Tulio is gonna hurt him and finish him off. Let me just check. Ooh. Let me just 1 second. All right. I think this is better, huh? I hope. So I think he's gonna hurt Trishan Gore at some point, and I think he's gonna finish him. TKO Marco Tulio. We move on. Where do we move on? There it is. Flyweight, Sumo Daji versus Mitch Raposo. I have to say, neither of these guys' future is in the top 5, I don't think. Sumo Daji seems to be on the descent on his career. Like, he lost a lot. Like 3 of his last 4 or something like that. or maybe even worse. His last 3. He lost his last 3 to Charles Johnson. Okay, Charles Johnson is pretty tough to deal with, and he hasn't lost to anyone who's bad, I don't think. Esteban. He's pretty good. Let's say that. He's pretty good. But to Tim Elliott and to Matt Schnell by submission, he doesn't look too good in my book. Sumo Darji. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wish I wouldn't, but I'm picking Mitch Raposo by decision. I think he's just gonna outpace him and get him with volume. Nothing special, but yeah, he's gonna grind out a decision. That's my opinion on that fight. We move on. Featherweights, Darren Elkins versus Julian Erosa, Juicy J. The first interesting fight, really interesting fight of the night, I think. But the Chishan Gore Marco Tullio is interesting too, I admit. But this fight, for me, is the easiest to predict, in my opinion. I can land on my ass with this prediction, but in my mind, whenever Darren Elkins wins, he usually gets people by being tougher than them, by enduring a lot of damage and making them gas out trying to finish him. That happened to a lot of people. The problem with Julian Erosa is that he has cardio for days. And he might actually be technically better everywhere. I'm not sure. Maybe Darren Elkins is the pure wrestling, he might be better. But grappling, I think Julian Erosa is better. As soon as and his defensive wrestling is pretty good. So of course, there's the possibility for Darren Elkins to catch Julian Erosa, but it's not very likely. So I'm picking Julian Erosa. And depending on how tough Darren Elkins still is, it's either going to be a TKO or a decision. I'm leaning more towards Darren Elkins as a tough SOB, and he's going to go the distance with Julian Erosa. So I'm going Julian Erosa by decision. We move on to the what's it called? Prelims? Yeah, the prelims. Middleweight, Cedric Dumas versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I would strongly lean towards Cedric Dumas if Oleksiejczuk did not have his Njokuani fight, his Chidi Njokuani fight. Because Chidi had him in all sorts of trouble. He was knocking him around, but he survived and he won by TKO himself. I think this fight can go exactly the same way. With Dumas rocking him early, kind of blowing his load, and Oleksiejczuk just taking over after and getting the TKO. That's actually exactly what I'm predicting this fight to go. Dumas hurting him, but not being able to put him away, and Oleksiejczuk making him pay later. We move on. Second fight of the prelims, and another one of the fights. I'm not looking a lot forward to this one. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Lightweights, Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. Yep. I like Jim Miller. I think he's a very, very tough, pretty good technically. Yeah, a good fighting style overall. He lacks a little bit of power, I think. Other than that, I like Jim Miller, but Jim Miller's getting older. And Chase Hooper, in my opinion, is the future of is not he is the future of grappling, but he's the prototype of the future of grappling. Meaning, like 10, 20 years ago, it was like the grappler tries to get on top and lay on you. And yes, there were some sweeps, but modern grappling is so much faster. Like so many transitions and yeah, trying to take advantage of tiny mistakes of your opponent, and this non-stop scrambling, never accepting your shoulders on the mat ever. And Chase Hooper is that, I think. He never settles, he's always scrambling, and he's always threatening with submissions. No matter if he's on top or you're on top of him, it doesn't matter. He will always try to get you out of there with some sort of submission hold. And the problem with Jim Miller is, as I said before, he does not have the biggest power. So he's not a huge KO threat. He could knock out Chase Hooper, don't get me wrong. And he's probably going to win a round against Chase Hooper, because I don't think Chase Hooper is going to have an easy task taking Jim Miller down. But I think Chase Hooper at some point will catch him with something tricky and submit Jim Miller. Jim Miller has been submitted a couple times, and I think this one, like Saturday night's going to be another one of those fights for him. Sorry, but not sorry. We move on. Women's strawweights, Yan Xiaonan versus Virna Jandiroba. I think this is going to be a very close fight. Because Yan Xiaonan has a great base. She's very... No, it's not super tough to take her down, but she's not easy to take down. She has a lot of core strength to hold herself up and to keep you off of her. But I think Virna Jandiroba is just the better grappler. She's just superior in grappling to Yan Xiaonan. And that will let her win most of the positions the fight's gonna play out. And that will probably give her the decision at the end. I don't think that she's gonna submit Yan Xiaonan. Has Yan Xiaonan ever been submitted? I don't think so. Let's check. 1 second. Yes, she has been submitted once. And she has been TKO'd by Carlos Esparza, but yeah. Oh, okay. 2010, she has been submitted. Who cares? All right. I'm leaning towards Jandiroba by decision. And now we move on. Okay. Flyweight. Sorry, my bad. The weights. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. That's one of the fights I'm very invested in. I have to say, Sean Woodson at the moment is on a pretty hot streak, but I like the style of Bruce Leroy, and I'm pretty sure that Alex Caceres won the fight against Sean Woodson. If you have any other arrangement of judges cage side, but the one that we're watching was just at least close, but it was no. And to me, Caceres won. Woodson got the nod, and he won 2 more since. So he deserves the position he's in, but yeah, I don't think he won against Alex Caceres. I can see for this fight against Dean Ige, I can see Woodson putting the volume on him and hitting him with his slender build from the outside, like these ones. But Dan Ige is a fighter's fighter, and he will keep on coming. And it is possible for Sean Woodson to land on Dan Ige and get him out of there, but I think it's much more likely that Dan Ige catches him and gets him out of there. I mean, okay, let me rephrase it. For Woodson to hurt him is not that unlikely, but to get a finish of it, that's unlikely. And if Dan Ige hurts Sean Woodson, I think he's going to finish him. That's what I'm saying. So, I think it's going to be a tough fight for Dan Ige, and I think he's going to take at least some damage from Sean Woodson, but I'm really, really hoping for a TKO for Dan Ige, and I think it's possible. I think he's going to hit him with something big at some point in the fight. We move on. Main card, light heavyweights, Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes. One of the fights I'm really invested in. Reasons? I like them both. I really, since he stepped into the cage in the UFC, I really like Nikita Krylov as a fighter. And he's always been underrated in the UFC. I mean, you just have to look at the people and how many fights he had in the UFC until they gave him, like, again, the upper echelon of the light heavyweight division. But it's amazing to see because the name power he has defeated and fought over the years. He's been on a streak. Then okay, that's 2018. Okay, let's start in the 2020s, okay? He beats Johnny Walker, he lost to Ankalaev, and he lost to Paul Craig's famous triangle. And since then, he's been on a 3-fight winning streak against Gustafsson, Ozdemir, and, okay, Ryan Spann, who cares? But he's been on a tear, and he's beaten so many prospects in the UFC light heavyweight division. He had a 5-fight winning streak, then a 4-fight, and now a 3-fight winning streak. Let's see how far he can go with this. On the other hand, we have Dominic Reyes, who has looked as great as he hasn't in the last 5 years, I think. I don't think. And I think on paper you have to give it to Krylov, but I think this is the renaissance for Dominic Reyes. His last performance really showed again him confident, and I think that confidence is absolutely key for Dominic Reyes' success. And even though I would like for Nikita Krylov to get over that hump, win the big fight and get his shot at the title, I would love that. But I think Reyes is coming back. TKO Dominic Reyes. I might be very, very wrong. Because that good he hasn't looked in his last fight, but pretty good, okay? So I'm rather confident. We move on. Again, featherweight division. We have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Okay. This is another fight I want to talk about. Patricio Pitbull is a great addition to the UFC's roster. But this addition should have been made at least 5 years ago. And now putting him against, in his first outgoing in the UFC, you put him against Yair Rodriguez. Oof. Wait a second. To me, it's cruel. Because on the feet, yes, you can hurt Yair Rodriguez. That other fighters have shown that. For the first one was probably Korean Zombie. But there's been fighters since that have shown us that Yair Rodriguez is mortal on the feet, like Max Holloway, and even Volk kind of got him on the feet and then finished him on the ground. Mostly on the ground, though. And Patricio Pitbull, on the other hand, is a really, really powerful striker. I haven't seen him submit anyone, actually. So, he wants to finish people. Yair Rodriguez does not get finished by strikes. Except for the Volkanovski fight. But the Volkanovski fight, just like the Frankie Edgar fight, it was not he got rocked by a bomb on the feet. Maybe in the Volkanovski, kind of a bomb. But he would have survived that. 100% he would have survived that if Volkanovski did not have this ridiculous accuracy with his ground and pound in that fight. Because he hit him with a lot of unanswered shots to the head, and then it was over. But it was, in my mind, it was not the damage on the feet he took, it was the damage on the ground he took that made him lose that fight. So Patricio Pitbull is going to have a tough time getting to that spot. Also, Yair is very rangy, and his creativity is just second to none. And also his power is pretty good, with his kicks at least. With his hands, I think there's still levels to this shit, but with his feet, he's second to none. And he has been hurt a lot in his career, and he's almost always been able to recover and bounce back. And I think this is going to happen on Saturday as well. I think Pitbull is going to hurt him once. Yair is going to lose that round probably, but he's going to dominate the rest of the fight. So I'm giving a rather dominant decision to Yair Rodriguez. Not in the sense that he was winning all the rounds, but the rounds he's winning, he's dominating. And probably Patricio Pitbull is going to win one round off of a knockdown or something like that. We move on. Featherweight still, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Another fight I'm very, very personally invested. Okay, let's say the nice things first. Bryce Mitchell is an extremely talented grappler, but he's very sluggish on the feet. Gene Silva is sluggish basically everywhere, but he hits very, very hard. Bryce could actually catch him in a sub, but I really hope Gene Silva is getting it done on Saturday. I'm sorry, Bryce Mitchell. I know you're trying to rectify the things you said, but I don't think you can publicly preach hillbilly history to the world as facts and expect no consequences at all. I don't think so. Okay? So, I really hope Gene gets it done by TKO. Do I want to say more about that? I don't think so. But denying Nazi crimes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry the line has been drawn, and here's my line. I don't think Bryce Mitchell is a bad person. I think he's a bad informed person. And the people that informed him, he looks up to, so he believes it without questioning it. And he should question it. And that's his fault, not to question it. All right. Enough said. We move on to the fight that I'm actually, yeah, that's my fight of the night. Moving on to my fight of the night. Co-main event, lightweights, Michael Chandler versus Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. Sorry, I couldn't find a picture of Paddy in shape. It was the only one that was via the free wiki pictures that you could get. So I'm sorry, Paddy. I didn't mean to do you dirty, but that's the picture I got. For Michael Chandler, I took the picture where he looks the most. What do we say? Sympathetic? Yeah. Because I don't think he is. Okay. Like I said, that's another fight I'm personally very invested in. Okay, so far in his career, Petty basically has made me a fan. Outside the Jared Gordon situation, he lost that fight, and he should just at least admit that it was really close, and that he wasn't cruising. He was almost losing. He was losing that fight, and the judges gave him a break. A problem with Paddy Pimblett I also have, he tends to get hit hard and gets hurt. Also, he gassed in a couple of his fights, especially in the Jared Gordon fight. And he has never went 5 rounds in the UFC. Those are all problems for Paddy Pimblett. Michael Chandler, on the other hand, is 2-6 against the top 5 lightweights. I think it's all basically top 5 matchups he had. Maybe Hooker was 6 at the time he beat him. No, bygones be bygones. Let's just say 8 top 5 fights. And that's no shame. To go 2-6 against the top guys of the world in your division. What were those fights? I mean, he fought the who is who of the lightweight division. Let's see. Charles twice is what I know from the top of my head. Where does it start? Hooker, Charles, Gaethje, Tony. But at the time, Tony, I think at the time Tony was 3rd, something like that. At least top 5, I think. Was the Charles fight in between? Yeah. Oh, it was a lot. No, maybe he wasn't. Okay. Okay, I have to take that back. Tony Ferguson was not ranked in the top 5 when this happened, but Dustin Poirier was ranked in the top 5. Charles Oliveira is ranked in the top 5. So 7 out of the 8 ranked in the top 5. So a very high caliber opposition. Okay, let's talk. We're still talking about Michael Chandler. He has decent cardio and he has wicked strength. But he still is Michael Chandler. Like, the things you say outside, since I'm just a fan of this sport, I consider the things you say outside the ring when I give my predictions. I have to admit, I can't not do that. And yeah, wishing for a certain skin color on your children, it's just not good. Actually, I'm not sure if that's what he wants. It might be what his girl wants, but also the story with he saw a picture of a girl and stalked her for 2 years. It's also not a great love story, my friend. So Michael Chandler is a weirdo, and sorry. But yeah, I think he is weird. I think he's weird. I think I'm weird too, don't get me wrong, but I think he's really weird. I really hope that Paddy can survive getting hurt by Michael Chandler and submit him at some point, because Michael Chandler is going to hit him at some point. And I think that's what's going to happen. Actually, I really hope Paddy Pimblett's going to be able to survive and like get a triangle choke from his back or something like that. But triangle choke against Michael fucking Chandler. What's he gonna do? He's gonna pick you up and slam you hard. You might go out after, like Matt Hughes, but he might slam you harder than Matt Hughes did, even though he's a division down. Yeah. I think it's going to basically go the way the Dan Hooker fight went with Michael Chandler. I think he's going to crack Paddy, and he's going to keep punching and probably hit him a couple times on the back of the head and maybe put a finger in his eye, something like that. And he's going to get it by TKO. Probably even in the first round. I really, really, really hope Paddy gets it done, but tough stylistic matchup in my mind. Because Paddy wants to fight on the ground. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus Charles, but I think he's going to lose that fight as well. Dustin Poirier would probably be even a better matchup for him than the Michael Chandler matchup, because Michael Chandler is just so. If Michael Chandler doesn't want to stay on the ground, he's just popping up because he's a ball of muscle. Okay, but enough said. As I said, I think Paddy's gonna crack him. My God, crack him at some point in the fight. Probably early on, and he's going to finish him. TKO Michael Chandler is my sad prediction. We move on. Main event of the evening. Alexander Volkanovski trying to reclaim his title against Diego Lopez, who's trying to become first-time UFC champion. I have to say, I'm still not sure whether Diego Lopez is a special talent that got unlucky sometimes in his career, or if he's just a great grappler with a wild stand-up game who went pretty lucky so far. It's both possible, because he gets hit, but he got hit by Ige. He didn't look great in that fight. He didn't look super great in the what's his name? Oh my God, I don't know the name. I can't remember the name. In the Ortega fight, of course. He didn't look great throughout the entire fight of the. Oh my God, did I forget again? Okay, I have to read the name now. Brian Ortega. My God, T-City. Names in my head, they just disappear. All right. He has his win over T-City, but I don't think he looked perfect against Ortega. And the funny part with this fight is that I don't know what I'm going to get with Volk as well. Because he looked great throughout his career until the second Islam fight. And he hasn't looked the same since the second Islam fight. And he has had a fight in between that he lost by TKO. And he lost it looking very, very timid and on his back foot, trying to avoid the power. And that's not the Volk that was dominant before. That's not the Volk that got dropped by Chad Mendes, got back up and finished Chad Mendes himself. That's not the same guy. I hope he is still the same guy and he just had too little time in between knockouts and a bad preparation for the second Islam fight. I hope that's it. But I'm not sure. Maybe he can come back as the old Volk, or maybe that time has passed and we will never see the old Volk again. I think a big part of it is confidence, because he did not look confident in the Ilya fight. He immediately looked timid and he looked like he was afraid of the power. A confident Volk will dominate the stand-up with his quickness, not with his power, because he is faster. And he will avoid the danger on the ground. A timid Volk will get brutalized by Lopez with his vicious stand-up. I'm really torn what to think of this fight. I'm going Volk. Volk by decision, close fight. Diego Lopez is going to have his moments, but I think Alex the Great Volkanovski is going to reclaim his throne one more time. Oh, and that's that. Last but not least, we have the overview. Let me see where I am in the picture. At the wrong spot, of course. So we do a quick run through quickly. Those are my predictions. Nora Cornol by TKO over Haley Cohen. Marco Tullio by TKO over Trishon Gore. Mitch Raposo by decision over Sumo Daji. Julian Erosa by decision over Darren Elkins. Michal Olekseychuk by TKO over Cedric Dumas. Chase Hooper by submission over Jim Miller. And now I think we can switch. No. Virna Yandiroba by decision over Yan Chaonan, and now we can switch. Dan Ige by TKO over Sean Woodson. Dominic Reyes by TKO over Nikita Krylov. Yair Rodriguez by a decision over Patricio Pitbull. Gene Silva by TKO over Bryce Mitchell. Michael Chandler by TKO over Paddy Pimblett, hopefully not. And Alexander Volkanovski by decision over Diego Lopez. Those are my picks, and I hope this was helpful to you if you're betting and or just something interesting. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I see you guys in the next stream. Yeah, I'm not gonna stream right after the fights because I will be on vacation again for the weekend. So if all my picks are coming true, then I'm gonna do a reaction video. Other than that, I'm probably going to return on Tuesday, something like that, and I'm not gonna do a reaction if I had like a 50-50 with my picks. If I do all my picks are correct, then I'm gonna do a reaction video, of course. But if it's not the case, then I'm sorry. All right, that's that. I wish you guys a good one. Have a good weekend. See ya.